All right, hey guys, one of the things that I always wanted to do once I jumped back into production was to begin to teach consumers how real estate agents look at the business of selling real estate. It just helps you to be able to have a little bit more of the power that you deserve, right? I don't think anybody ever deserves to be talked to or talked at in anything that we do. And so I want to talk to you today about how real estate agents, how I teach real estate agents, and how real estate agents come in to bring the number to your home price. They're going to be looking at value. How do they arrive to that value conversation? So, we're going to look at that today in this real estate 101 for consumers, understanding how to price your home. Okay. So, there are things that we look at when I am teaching how to price a home properly and how to look at the economy of pricing a home properly. Okay. So, we're going to look at neighborhood value. We're going to look at the average home. So, what does the average home look like inside of that neighborhood? Average value. All right, we're going to look at the average value of the homes inside of that neighborhood. We're going to check out a few of the neighborhood statistics, and then we're going to talk about the economic stats about what's happening in and around the economy of now. So, we're going to do this real fast, guys, and I hope you have questions and I hope that you reach out and get the answers to your questions. This is about you and about you having the best opportunity to make the best decision for you and your family always. Okay. So when we look at pricing a home, I'm in Houston, Texas. And so in Houston, Texas, almost everything is being driven by neighborhoods. Okay. You could have a neighborhood literally next door to another neighborhood with very similar homes and have wildly different prices based off of the amenities of the neighborhood, based off of the builder who built the neighborhood, based off of the developer that brought in the neighborhood. There's a lot of things that can factor into it. So it is about a neighborhood to neighborhood conversation. Okay. That's the very first thing because it's difficult when we look at our world and when we start to peek outside of our world into some of the neighborhoods that might be literally connecting streets inside of my neighborhood, and there could be drastically different prices. And then inside of our neighborhoods, you'll find that these massive communities, especially these master plan communities that have grocery stores and elementary schools and parks and playgrounds and tennis courts and all of these amenities, thousands upon thousands of houses, as they develop those neighborhoods, the stuff that was developed first is going to be drastically differently priced from those things that are built newer, like the newer things that should be a dust statement. And yet, a lot of times we have difficulty understanding what that really means inside of understanding the value of our home. Okay. So when we look at a neighborhood, there is an overall neighborhood value. If you went and stretched out and looked at inside of a neighborhood, there is the economy of a neighborhood, right? We're going to jump down and talk about that for a second. There's an economy to a neighborhood. If I were to look at the average home inside of a particular neighborhood, my guess is that you'll run all of the neighborhood information and there's going to be this group of homes that is right there in the middle. That's the average price. It's the average square foot. It's the average. There's this average side of the scenario. There's this average conversation. So the law of averages is going to come into every single scenario when you're pricing the value of a home. And that even boils down to the amenities. If I'm looking at the average house, and the average house inside of a particular neighborhood all have sprinkler systems, all have pools, all have X, Y, and Z, well, then there's a relevancy to the value of that item inside of that neighborhood as far as spectrum of value is concerned. Okay. So, in the same sense, if I'm looking inside of a neighborhood and literally nobody on the street has a pool except for my house, that can be a challenge on comping out to make sure and see how the value fits in. Okay. So when I look at the average house in a neighborhood, so looking at my neighborhood, the average house is going to be in that 3,000 square footage kind of space. Okay. So then I look at that average house because that's the majority of what was built. Well, then now there's an average price point. So the average price point, let's say, is $300,000, 3,000 square foot and 3,000 square foot and $300,000. If that is average, you're going to see all of the homes try to merge as close to that number to bring value inside of the neighborhood without just getting crazy on either side of the spectrum. And so if I have a smaller square footage house, let's say I'm in a 3,000 square foot average neighborhood and I have a $2,300 2,300 square foot home and the average price is $300,000, well, I might be overpriced on price per square foot. We'll talk about that in a second. Price per square foot because I want my home to kind of come up towards the overall value of the neighborhood, the economy of that particular neighborhood. And so you may have a home that may be very small, priced at 275, that looks like it might feel overpriced when you compare it to the 3,000 square foot home that has more space, that has more things, that has a little bit more, and yet it's going to have a little bit of an imbalance because that's the average. And this home can't sell for 230 in a neighborhood where it's 300,000. We have to average things out. This is a very important piece to the puzzle because a lot of times when we're selling a smaller square footage home inside of a neighborhood that has larger square footage homes, we're going to have to kind of bring it up, but you can't bring it up too much. Now, on the flip side of that, let's say I have a 3,500 or 3,800 square foot home. Well, that home is huge. It's massive compared to the average. Well, it can't sell for 400, $500,000 inside of a neighborhood because that wildly expands the economy of the neighborhood, so much so that it would not appraise. And appraisal is a big piece to the puzzle, which we're going to talk about that in the economic stats. So I talked about price per square footage. The very first thing we look at is the average. I need to know what's happening inside of the average in a particular neighborhood because then you'll break those categories out. And when I look at then and I start extrapolating price per square foot, it helps me to kind of bring the story back into your particular home. So let's say 3,000 square foot, $300,000. I come on the line. I've got a 3,000 square foot home, and I look at the price per square foot, $100 a square foot. Pretty easy to extrapolate. Your house is going to probably sell in the $300,000 range. So now I have a very small square footage home, and I got, let's say, the 2,300 square foot. Well, if I sold a 2,300 square foot home for $100 a square foot, I have destroyed the economy, the market value of that neighborhood, because I just sold a home in a very valuable neighborhood for $230,000. It starts to bring the neighborhood value down. Well, you do that enough, and you truly can destroy the market value of a neighborhood. Okay, and I hope this is making sense. And so then, obviously, if you look at this really wildly 3,500 square foot home, 3,800 square foot home, it can't sell for 380, $400,000. It's got to start to come back down a little bit. And so you'll see it sell for under the $100 a square foot average, and you'll see the smaller home sell for over the 100 square foot average. Okay. So this is where we're looking at as we begin to start to find that target for the pricing of your particular home. And again, this is how I teach it to our agents. When I run CMAs, the main thing I'm going to be looking at is the square footage of your home. How similar are we going to get into the square footage of your homes? So a home that's similar, what have the solds been for a home that's similar? And that is within like 100 to 200 square foot, ideally in the very beginning of the search for a CMA, a comparative market analysis. Okay. So now I'm looking at your home. Let's say you're in that 2,300 square foot home. Your home is comparable to a little bit below and a little bit above. It is not comparable to the 3,000 square foot home. Again, it is not comparable to the 300 square foot home. And the reason being, think about how much house is in 700 square feet. In a 700 square foot difference, I now have a house that could potentially have four extra rooms in it compared to your 2,300 square foot home. Now, again, that would be cramming a lot of small rooms, but the reality is, and the point is, they are just not comparable. It is apples to oranges when you're comparing a 2,300 square foot home to a 3,000 square foot home inside of the same neighborhood. It just is. I don't care which way you slice it. There's no way you will ever be able to say, well, this home for 2,300 square foot sold for $150 a square foot. So my 300,000 square foot home is going to be worth that much more. It's just not. The economy of the neighborhood doesn't support it. And then when we talk about the economic stats of a particular neighborhood, one of the things that we have to realize is that when I put a price on my house and I'm attracting a buyer to come purchase my home, that buyer more than likely will have a mortgage. That's how most homes are sold. They're going to have a mortgage. Very few are cash sales. So if they come in with a mortgage, the mortgage company is going to protect their investment. They've said you can buy a house, but they're going to protect their investment. They're going to say, you purchased this home for $300,000. I'm going to send an appraiser to protect our investment and say, appraiser, according to your opinion, is this home worth the money that we're going to write this contract for? And the appraiser is going to go in, he's going to look at the area, And he's going to start looking at these same factors, these similar factors. What does the neighborhood look like? What is the law of averages inside of this neighborhood? What does the economy of it look like? And they're going to get a little bit more into the nitty gritty of it because an appraiser is a very professional person. They know what they're doing, they look at value all day long. And so they're going to go in and they're going to make sure, okay, according to the price that we're at, according to the neighborhood data, according to the past sales, we're good. And here's where some of the challenges begin to form. When you look at the overall economy of now, the economy of now, if there are challenges coming on the horizon for the economy, let's say energy bottomed out, let's say coronavirus killed things, let's say all of these little bits and pieces start to come in where the economy looks like it's going to slow. Well, the investment side of things is going to go, wait a second, I want to look back a shorter time period. A lot of times, an appraiser will look back into about that 6 month period. That's a good window. But if it starts to look like there's going to be challenges, they'll shorten that window and want to find the comps that are the most relevant to right now. And so that can be a good thing. It can be a bad thing. It can be just a thing. The reality, though, the point of it all is that for us, we can come up with the information, we can look at all of the information, but it's not as simple as my neighbor sold their house for $190 or a square foot, so I should be able to sell my home for $190 a square foot. It's just not true. Homes are different from home to home to home to home. And then when you look at a home and you come in and now you've got that target, and I come into your house and I start looking at the comparables and I say, is your house like this one or like that one? And I'm like, well, it's like that, but it's not like this and it's like that. So now we have a list of the homes that are the most similar to your homes. And the data doesn't lie. If those homes are the most similar to your homes, your expectation is that the market value of your home is going to be in a range of those homes. That's why we say it's a comparative market analysis. We're comparing your home to what is already sold. And so now we start to look at a few other things. Well, I've done a little bit of the extra stuff. Awesome. The extra stuff that matters is in this category, according to this neighborhood. The extra stuff that doesn't matter, and I hope you enjoyed it, is in this category. You're not going to get much value from one thing to the next. And so you've got to start to cycle all that into the process. And I hope this is not going too far or too long, or you've lost control and you don't know what to do anymore. I hope you're understanding like this is the process. This is what your real estate agent should be doing for you. If they show up with this piece of paper and say this is what your home is worth, and they haven't had this conversation with you, you've picked the wrong real estate agent. And I'll argue that with any real estate agent. I'm okay to say that. If your real estate agent showed up and told you what to sell your house for, they are not looking out for your best interest. And so when I start to again dig into the house and I start to look at it, there are other statistics that are going to happen. If I look at this current economy, I'm going to tell you inside of my neighborhood, there's going to be a lot of people who will test the pricing of the neighborhood because our days on market is like next to nothing. The inventory is super low. And so if somebody's looking at, yeah, I know that Billy sold his house like 4 weeks ago for $300,000, but there's literally no other 4 bedroom, 3 bathroom with a pool on the market right now. I'm going to see if I can get 315 for mine. I'm going to see if I can get 320 for mine. You'll start to see people start to test the market. And that's when you start to see people who will truly help to shift the economy of your neighborhood. And you'll see that ebb and flow of the pricing and the value inside of your neighborhood. This is the long, laborious process that every single agent should be going through to help you understand where your value is. It's not just in, if I look at my house and the across the street neighbors, I can't just say this and that because we could be drastically different in our price per square foot brackets. If I'm a very small square footage home, I've got to look at the small square footage homes. If I'm in a medium square footage homes, I got to look at the medium square footage homes. If I'm in the large square footage homes, I got to look at the large square footage homes. You have to truly get as close to apples as you possibly can. The challenge is that our emotional attachment into our homes makes us believe that when we look at apples to apples, that this orange over here is 100% an apple, and it's just not true. You've got to be able to have a very relevant conversation about value. What does the average home look like as far as the neighborhood value? What does the average value of a home look like according to the neighborhood value? What are the neighborhood statistics that might be able to help you go one way or the other according to your neighborhood? And then what are the economic stats for the current economy. All of those things weigh in to arriving at the price for your home. And here's the thing, at the end of the day, your agent should be able to look at you and say, without fail, this is what it looks like. What decision do you want to make today to price your home at so that it is the best opportunity for you and your family to get what you need? That's the agent who's going to be by far the best fiduciary for you and for your family. Hope this makes sense. This is Real Estate 101 for consumers, helping you guys understand today how to price your home. And this is the process that we go into. All right. I hope you're having a great day. If you have any questions, guys, and I hope you have questions, email me, call me, text me. If you got my number, awesome. Go find me on Facebook, find me on Instagram, find me anywhere. I am here for you, and I love doing this. This is my jam. So if I can help you out, by all means, let me know.